So good evening to everyone and welcome on board. In this webinar, we will talk about Destination Perth. And this is Davide. I am Sales Coordinator Italy, but I will not be alone today because a few of my colleagues, Claudia, Benjamin, and Paula, will join us from Rome, Toulouse, and Spain, especially from Valencia. How are you, Claudia, Ben, and Paula? Where are you?
Hello, everyone from Rome. Hi.
Hi, guys. This is Paula. I'm from Valencia.
Welcome. Hello, guys. Welcome on board. I am Benjamin from France in Toulouse.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. So, guys, I think that the first point is to remember to all of you that this webinar will be recorded. So in case you don't want to see your face or maybe your name on our YouTube link, I suggest you to leave the call. So we will soon start. And as you can notice, I'm not talking in English. I'm not talking in Italian. I'm not talking in Spanish or in French, but I'm trying to talk in English. We will all try to talk very, very slowly in order to let you understand everything. But I suggest you to give a look at these few slides before we will start to join with John, with Julia, and with Michael, because you can enable your subtitles in order to understand what I'm trying to tell you about Perth and about all of these schools. So basically, you can also find the link in the chat if you can go through it. And here you can find what you can find in that link. For example, you basically need to, at the bottom right in this tool, tap the three dots in order to start to manage all of your subtitles. Then you have to basically choose settings, and then step 3, select CC captions from here on the left. And then step 4, you only have to set English as the meeting language and then choose preferred language for translation. To be honest, guys, and I'm talking with the Italian guys, unfortunately, this is possible only for Spanish speaker and French speaker. So I suggest you to add a translate to English if you are Italian and you are trying to attend this meeting all together. So guys, are you ready? Are you ready to start? Why are you here? Australia's calling me. Perth feels right for me. I just couldn't close the pop-up lol. So please let us know what you're feeling, and then we will soon start this conversation all together. Cool, thank you. So where are you, John, Michael, and of course, Julia? Where are you now?
Paris.
Paris, then?
Germany.
Germany, and John?
I'm right here in Paris, yes.
Are you close to Michael, I mean, isn't it?
He's about 50 meters away in the other
Yes,
room.
yes.
Not even that much, 50
Yes.
meters away.
Because I think I smell.
That's the reason why. We can understand. So thank you to John Paxton from PICE, Michael Ingram from TAFE International Western Australia, and Julia Beggar from Edinburgh University for being here. And thanks also for your support, because without you, this webinar won't be possible. So thank you, first of all. And then I think that we can start. The first presentation that I'm going to share is regarding Destination Perth. So, well, I think we will only start with a video, John. What do you think? With a video coming through Destination Hero? So I suggest you to give a look at this video, and then John will start to explain something about Perth.
Dave, we cannot hear the audio of the video.
Cool. So
Davide.
this is Perth, yes?
Sorry, we cannot hear the audio of the video.
But that's strange because we try a lot of times.
No.
Anyway, I will try once again. Sorry for this.
Still no, but we can send the videos to the people in the webinar after and starts with the presentation maybe.
Yes, it's better. I'm sorry, but I don't know what happened, to be honest. Anyway, we can go on, of course. So, John, we can start from, of course, destination Perth. So the presentation is here, ready for all of us. And I remind you that in case you have any question, I also suggest you to feel free to write all of the questions in your own language in the web chat, in the chat box, and then Claudia and Ben, and of course also Paula will reply and come back to you.
So let's go, David.
Yes, I just...
Getting that too, yeah.
Yes. Are you able? Can you see it?
No,
No.
not yet.
Not yet. I think that the link is going to arrive soon. Can you see it?
No. No.
So please let me know if you're able to see it at the moment, because I'm just sharing the presentation.
No, I can't see it, David.
Okay.
I can try to present if you want, Davide. Do you want me to
Yes,
present?
you can. I can share with you the link, of course. And that's pretty strange. I just share it with you, Claudia, via Meet.
I don't have access. Sorry, Dave. I don't know why. You need to give me access.
Davide, someone suggested that you share
Yes,
the whole
here it
screen.
is. Sorry, here it is. Here it is. I'm sorry, but it takes a lot of time because I don't know why, but maybe you are too many people. And so here we are. Now it's ready. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes. I'm sorry, but we only have to wait for a few minutes to start with all of the presentation. There is anything that I can do.
So, David, I'll be very happy to start and to say this is our wonderful city of Perth. It's a city which is very supportive for international students. We have a culture that's very friendly. We have a city of about 2 million people, maybe a bit less, which is half the size of Sydney, about 2/3 the size of Melbourne. So we are a smaller city than those other two. We're a very supportive community. Yes, please, David, the next one. So one of the things that's interesting for you all to see in Europe, that we are in fact 2 hours, and in fact now 3 hours closer to when you come to Australia. In Perth, you are 2 hours closer to your friends and family. I'm saying than Sydney or Melbourne. You can see that on that map there. So those 2 or 3 hours are really quite important, and we have a lot of airline partners coming through. Thanks, David. The next one. You see thriving city life, outstanding education, but most importantly, the message for today is a supportive community. We look after them, and Study Perth is an organisation that looks after international students, all of you, in their Study Perth hub in the middle of the city. If you need help for finding a job, if you need help finding another place to live, if you need help in your career, we have those free services for you. So can you see at the very bottom of that page, career support? So that's good. Thanks, David. Our seasons, yes, we do have 4 seasons, and I think many students come in spring and stay for 6 months or longer. So the intake for September traditionally has been very good. That photograph on the left is Cottesloe Beach. That's our famous Cottesloe Beach. I'll be swimming there next Saturday. That's my beach. So my view is that we will help international students to shine. I think that's what that message is. You can see a couple of things there. So on the top in the green, we have public transport, trains and buses, 40% discount for all international students. One of the things that students always look at is, I am studying, but I've got to live, and I've got to stay somewhere, and I've got to have transport, and I've got to find a job to get some money. All of those things are very positive in Perth. Let me say that to you. You can also see in yellow there, Perth has an average of 8.8 hours of sunshine per day. We are regarded as the sunniest capital in Australia. That means if you are an outdoor person, there is plenty of opportunities to pursue outdoor activities, plenty of sunshine, even in winter. My view is that serious students doing serious study, whether it be in English or diploma courses or university, they need to have an outlet on the weekend to enjoy themselves, and this is what we can provide. Yes, David, next one. So that is Cottesloe Beach. Can you see, that's called the pylon, that's the thing in the water there, and that is the colour of the water, believe me. And it is very clean, and that beach is 15 minutes by train from Perth City Centre, where my school is, and where ECU is going to be very soon, and where Michael's TAFE product is also there too. So we're very close to that. Michael and Julia, if you'd like to come in at any stage, please. I'll finish this one. This is Rottnest Island. That is the holiday island. This is 30 minutes by ferry off the coast. It's the home of the famous quokka. And a selfie with a quokka is what most international students do. Please look, Google that, and you'll see that. Okay, there he is. That's the quokka. He's a very friendly little animal, and he's very happy to take a selfie with you. Well, you take the selfie with him, I guess that's what it is, but that's where you can see that there too. Okay. And that's some of our students enjoying Cottesloe Beach, and they're certainly enjoying it. Julia, Michael, you're next.
We're next.
Yes, next one.
Thank you, John. I'll have a couple of phrases to contribute here, if I may. If that's okay, Julia, I'm going to jump in.
Yeah, of course.
John hit a couple of key points on the head, everybody. He talked about proximity to Europe. He mentioned 2 or 3 hours. What he's talking there about is the time difference between Perth and the eastern states. But in fact, in flight time, that's an additional 4 or 5 hours. So if you want to come from Europe to Australia, you are cutting your travel time by 4 or 5 hours by coming to Perth, and you're going to be 2 or 3 hours closer in time zone to family. It's one of the reasons I chose Perth as an international student many, many years ago. And I have loads of other reasons. It's one of the reasons why I live there now permanently, despite how much I enjoy traveling the world, telling everyone about Perth. It is a great place to come home to. Guys, there's direct flights these days from London, also from Rome, if I'm not mistaken, and from Paris. I think the Rome flight is operating. David, you correctly?
Seasonal, Michael.
Seasonal flight directly from Rome. The Paris one, John arrived on yesterday or the day before, I think. So it's very easy to get there. And honestly, in terms of lifestyle, there is no better place, in my opinion, in Australia than Perth. Not just for its beauty, its proximity to the southwest, the fantastic education offerings between PICE and Edith Cowan University and TAFE, but also just in balance. That is the key word before I hand over to Julia. It's all about balance. And that word there on the slide, succeed, it is not easy to succeed as an international student unless you are in a city like the one behind me that provides balance. And that's what we do in bucket loads. Julia.
Yes, I can only agree to what you say. So I can provide an example, as I did a study abroad semester in Sydney on the other hand. And now that I have this fantastic chance to actually represent an institution on the other side of the Australian continent, I can confirm that in terms of living quality and the actual experience by how authentic it is way better on the western side of Australia than in the east. I love Sydney, but Perth is way less overwhelming. It is way more easy to make you feel comfortable and to make you feel home, far away from home. Because of that fact, it has the perfect size. It's not too big, it's still walkable. So that's what I always enjoy a lot when I come to Perth, that I can actually walk the city center. I can go for a run and see the nice places in the city and also the beaches. Everything feels close by. So you have everything in one city. You have that big city feeling, but you also have those nice places that are so close by. So it has the perfect size and the perfect living quality. And studying, of course, is nowhere better than there.
Thank you, Julia. That's marvelous.
That's all right. So next, yes. That's
So
back to you, I guess. You can tell more about that than I could.
I'll have a go at this. Yes. So the original people in Australia are what we call our Aboriginal people. In Perth, the tribe was called the Whadjuk people, and part of the Noongar nation, and there is Aboriginal culture, and I really mean that, Aboriginal culture inside Perth, and we do that. We actually have taken students to learn how to play the didgeridoo, and also to experience some of the painting that the Aboriginal the people do. So that's something that's really very interesting, very different from any of your societies. That is, for those sports people who are listening, that is what's called Optus Stadium. That's where football, our football, Australian football, but also your football, soccer, is also played there. And we've had international teams going to this. It's about a 60,000 person theatre, and it is regarded as one of the best in the Southern Hemisphere. Thanks, David.
Can I jump in, John, for a second?
Yes, you.
David, you can go back to that picture of the stadium if you like. For those of you tuning in France, you might be interested to know that this stadium, Perth Stadium, was the recipient of the Prix Versailles, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, back in 2018, which is a globally recognized architecture prize awarded in France to projects around the world for different things, whether it's education or whatever. This stadium won the best sporting arena back in 2018 when it was finished. And it basically is Australia's #1 sporting arena. And John mentioned it plays host to big sporting teams and lots of entertainment. But that's really important for you guys as students, because not only does that mean that there's something for you to do on a regular basis, whether it's sport or music, but when there's an event at this stadium with 50, 60,000 people in it, that means a lot of jobs in logistics, event management, hospitality, transport, you name it.
Thanks, Michael. We have lots of things going on in the city because we are an outdoor city. You can see that we have quite a few outdoor movie theatres inside the city. Thanks, David. So this is a very important page, and I want to make a couple of points here. It's interesting that Michael just mentioned the workforce inside Optus Stadium is mainly made up of international students. I know that because I know the guy that actually, the director, the manager out there, and he is reliant on overseas students to come as a casual rate, paying them very good hours, dollars per hour, to do the hospitality for big events. So there's many jobs in Perth, many jobs that can be what I call student jobs. That is, students doing things part-time in hospitality. If you've got a barista experience, for example, or you have an experience waiting tables in your country, whether it be France, Italy, or Spain, bring your CV and a reference from your boss, translated into English, and you will find a job in 5 minutes in hospitality. Okay, if that's what you want. But more than that, if you look at this particular page, you see this is what Study Perth do, is they help you find a job in your career. For example, mining. We're a very big mining area. So if you are an engineer and you're learning some English to get a job, they can help you get some jobs, some even part-time jobs in any of those particular faculties there. They're all available in Perth, and we will help you do that. That's what I mean by a supportive atmosphere inside the international student network in Perth. We all sort of know each other. I think finding a job is most important. We have the lowest percentage of what do you call it, unemployment. Our percentage of unemployment is the lowest in Australia. So you've got plenty of jobs available for those who have got the skills. Thanks, David. So on a tourist side of things, that's called the Pinnacles. That's well known. That's a very unusual site. That's about 1 hour, 1.5 hours north of Perth. Worthwhile seeing, right on the beach. And if you read through that little piece of writing there, is that going from Perth, within 30 or 40 minutes, you are in what we call the outback or the bush. It's very close. So we have lots of bush areas, and going for a weekend picnic up into the Darling Ranges is really there. So just be aware of that. There's a lot of things to do outside of the city to enjoy nature, to enjoy the anything to do with flora and fauna. Thanks, David. Now, this is interesting for all of you. For any of you, any people that I'm speaking to now that has some experience in the wine growing industry, the southwest of Western Australia we call it Margaret River. There's a fantastic range of jobs available inside viticulture, whether it be picking grapes, whether it be working in the wineries, whether it be working in the hospitality in the wineries. There's always a lot of good jobs there. But I can tell you this because I know that they require a good level of English. So if you're coming on a working holiday visa, you'll need to do some English first, and then you'll be able to get a really good job in that very area and use the skills that maybe you already have from your own country. The Western Australian wine growers that I know down there, they love European working holiday visa who have had some experience there. Thanks, David.
Hi, John. We have a question. Can I? Yes. Okay. Andrea is asking, what are the chances to work in the logistic engineering industry in Perth? And I think it's interesting because we have a lot of engineering asking for job in Australia in general.
Sure. Well, it's a long answer to that, but I'll try and give a short answer. Okay. Because Perth is the centre in Australia for mining, I'm sure you know that. So the miners are very big companies like BHP and Rio Tinto. They're always looking for skills that locals don't have, and we don't have enough skills in engineering and technology. So what they do require, maybe you can understand why I'm saying this, is they require a high level of English language for safety to get. But Study Perth is one of these organisations that actually helps students using their CV, using their skills, using their degrees in engineering to get a job, sometimes in Perth, but some of them also can get a job up on the Northwest Shelf where the big money is. So there's a lot of opportunities there, but two important factors is that if you've got the qualifications and you've got some experience in engineering and logistics, and the second thing is your communication skills, e.g. English. That's the quick answer. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
This is a place called Exmouth. This is the whale shark. That's me, by the way. It's the one in the flippers there. No, it's not really. But I've actually done this about 4 years ago. It is absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best things I've ever done. So they take you out on a boat for the day, and they've got a helicopter or a plane watching where the whale sharks come through, and you jump off the back of the boat and you swim with them. They look very big and slow. Believe me, they're big, but they're not slow. You've got to swim like hell to keep up with them, but it is one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. So it's a 2-hour flight from Perth up to Exmouth. Okay, and it's then a very interesting time to see that. So that is an opportunity. People from the eastern states fly over to do this. So how about you flying in from Paris or Rome to come and do it too? All right. Thanks, Michael. More outback, and that's the bungles. Next one, Michael. I'm happy to talk on this at my last slide here. So I've mentioned Study Perth. So this is an organisation of all the international colleges and universities. We come together and we actually promote Perth as a destination to overseas markets, and this is what we're doing here. So in a sense, Julia, Michael and I, we are representing Study Perth to bring students into Perth. So you see it's governed by a board, but what it is really is a big supportive community for you. You come to Perth, these guys, Study Perth, us, we'll look after you. Thank you. Michael, over to you.
Would you like me to chip in some comments here, John? The one thing I do want to chip in with is it's a bit tricky to explain, but I'll try and keep it as simple as I can. In Australia, we have a report that comes out on quite a regular basis. I think it comes out annually, if I'm not mistaken. And it is a report that is released by one of Australia's major banks, which is Commonwealth Bank. And the report is called The State of the States. So in Australia, we have a selection of different states: Western Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, Tasmania, Victoria, and so on. And this report came out 2 days ago, and it has listed Western Australia as the #1 state in Australia, ahead of all the others. And it lists it on a number of metrics. And for you guys, the most relevant, of course, is economy, unemployment, education standards, those sorts of things. So very low unemployment, very strong economy, very high standards of education, excellent lifestyle. And, you know, it's why we see quite a lot of people from places like Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane moving over to Perth to take up opportunities, just like you guys hopefully will as well.
If I may jump in as well, what we always used to say was that it's about 15 to 20% less expensive or more affordable than the eastern states of Australia. So just keep that in mind, because I guess that fits in quite nicely here. Very important for international students, I guess. Or if you want to do your living there as well, good to know. Back to you, John.
So I'll also
Michael.
chip in with
Yes.
people might be wondering about part-time work and that sort of thing. It goes without saying, if you didn't already know this, everybody, that international students are allowed to work part-time during their studies. So it's 40 hours every 2 weeks. You might think that sounds like it's 20 hours a week, but it can be 30 and 10 or whatever the combination is. So 40 hours every 2 weeks. And the minimum wage, Julia, John, correct me if I'm wrong, is about 25 Australian dollars an hour. I think something like that. Might be a little bit higher,
20.
John says.
Yeah, it's about $30 an hour, and Michael, it's not 40 hours, it's 48 hours.
48,
right?
yes.
Okay.
Sorry, of course
Yes.
it is.
So that's really a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
If I will chip in, I'll chip in now and just say, I know some of the students who are working in coffee shops in the street where my school is, they're getting something around $35 an hour. And that's, if you think about that in euros, that's a pretty good salary for a casual worker. For some reason, Sydney and Melbourne pay less per hour for the same job. I don't know why exactly, but in Perth, students are getting more dollars per hour, and that is a fact. Michael, what I think, if you don't mind, you're going to be better than me talking about the career coaching and that sort of thing. I know TAFE indulges in that too, so that'll be a really interesting thing for the students to hear. If that's okay with you?
Sure. Look, I'm sure there's, again, it could be a very long answer, but I'll keep it very simple. John talked earlier on about the collaboration and the close community in the education sector in Western Australia. We all work very closely with one another. Now, Study Perth is kind of like an umbrella sort of entity, if you like, that represents all of us. So they provide a lot of career coaching opportunities on site in the Study Perth hub. They have networking events. You can see it on your slide in front of you. Lots of professional development, workshops and seminars and that sort of thing. But it doesn't end there. So institutions, whether you are doing English with Perth International College of English, which is where John is from, PICE, or whether you are studying your bachelor or master degree with Edith Cowan University, or whether you are studying in between those two courses in a vocational course, a diploma or advanced diploma, along with Study Perth, we as individual institutions also provide you with lots of support, advice, writing CVs, preparing for interviews. So for example, TAFE has things like job fairs on the campuses. So towards the end of each semester, we bring employers onto the campus to talk to students about some of the opportunities that are coming up. And that's not just part-time jobs. That's also sort of opportunities possibly after study as well, to look down applying for careers with those companies as well. So it's a full service support operation, not just from the institutions, but from Study Perth itself. So we're trying to support you from every possible angle. Julia, I'm sure you can add some more about ECU.
Yeah, it's similar for us than what you described. So we have a career service on campus as well. A team of very experienced people that support whatever kind of job interest students have and whatever kind of job they actually want to do. It might be besides their studies or even after their studies. So there's lots of support. I mean, in general, all the Australian institutions are very service orientated, very supportive, way more than what we know from Europe in many cases. So be assured that there's going to be someone who will assist you in finding a job, no matter what industry you're looking at.
And in addition to the institution support and the Study Perth support, everybody, there is also something called the Jobs and Skills Centres. Those Jobs and Skills Centres are actually on TAFE campuses around Western Australia. They are run by the same government department that TAFE Western Australia is run by, and those Jobs and Skills Centres are open to everybody, not just Australians. So they are also open to international students.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Michael, carry on, mate, with that one. You can see those here.
I think the numbers on the screen speak for themselves. And again, this goes back to Western Australia being rated the #1 state at the moment. It's in an upward trajectory economically. It is all about employment. And certainly with TAFE, and certainly with ECU, and of course preparing our English through PICE, it is all about preparing you for employment. And you can see on the right there's some major employers. I think the logistics and engineering person might be willing to write a couple of those down. I've got a feeling that's a Sandvik opportunity, if I'm not mistaken.
So in simple terms, there are international students in all of those companies right now, as we speak, a lot of them. And this is what Study Perth does. They help with, the job finder is one of their things that they work with. So
True.
what I'm saying to you all, it's not just studying in Perth, it's actually having the experience of living and working. And this is what we want to present to you. It's come and study, yeah, but there's other things that go there too, and that's working there. Thanks, David. That's just putting in writing what I've been saying. And I think that's a good slide for all of you to take on board as to what we can do, what we can help you with in Perth. As Michael said, it's the umbrella, the student organisation in Perth that looks after you. Thanks, David. So thank you for listening to the three of us. The main thing, I think, and you two can back me up on this, is that it's a use of the word ambiente, to be able to come to Perth and feel comfortable, feel safe, feel you are going to succeed, and, as they say, to shine in whatever you're doing. Thank you, David. And I'm very happy to answer any questions later on if anyone has any, okay?
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. So Claudia, Ben, and Paula, I don't know if is there any question for John, for Julia, or Michael? Otherwise, we can go on with PICE.
We have some question about the university and how is the IELTS requirements, but we will touch this after with Julia presentation. So,
Yes.
okay, I will come back to you with other question when we arrive to your part of the webinar, okay?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, David, would you like to start the colleges?
I think we can start, John, with the video of PICE. I don't know, to be honest, if we will be able to hear the great music that you decided to put in a video. But anyway, in this way, we will be able to give a look at the facilities and then to the campus. And then, of course, John, who is the principal of PICE, will start with a brief description of the school.
Thank you, David. At least we had the vision.
Here we are. I'm sorry, but we will share
That's
all
okay.
of the video after as a
That's
recap.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So if you got what you saw there is the vision of Perth, PICE inside Perth and the surroundings of the school. What was the interesting thing is the last bit is our surfing school called Go Surf. We have an arrangement with them, and there are several of those students who were, I saw two of our old Spanish students there learning how to surf for the first time. And you know what? They got up on the board and they were really pleased, and they do a great job. Have you got my next slide, David? Is that
Of course, yes, here we are, John.
okay?
We can share the timetable as you asked
That's
me.
what I wanted to show. So can you blow that up a little bit? Is that possible?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Thank
This
you.
is fine.
Yes. So just scroll down, please, David, a little.
Okay.
Can you do that? Yeah. Just that's it. That's good. So one of the things that I have seen and I have observed over the last perhaps half a decade, students are quite perceptive as to what are they buying with their money. So what I'm saying to you is that PICE has got a very strong timetable. You are buying a very good, strong timetable learning English. You can see it's a 9 o'clock start and a 2:30 finish. So it's 4.5 hours every day, Monday to Thursday, of intensive English. Reading, writing, speaking, listening, and grammar every day. You might notice at the bottom left, you'll see the word homework. Well, not many schools do that, but we do, and it's up to you to do it. But also, more importantly, the top right hand, you can see on a Friday morning, we do a weekly test. That is compulsory. Every student in my school does a test on Friday morning, and that's recorded. So we watch carefully as to your progress in reading, writing, speaking, listening, and grammar. Now that's important for you to see that it is a quality product. Because we test every week and that's recorded, and we have a very good arrangements with the universities. And Julia, I'll chip in here with ECU. If there's a question about IELTS to get into ECU, you don't need to do IELTS, because the agreement that I have with ECU is direct entry. You graduate at the right level from PICE, the university recognises that level, and you go straight in. And that goes for TAFE as well, slightly different level. So what's important is that the academic program that we have has been recognised by the universities and by TAFE and by other business colleges as valid in their assessment of the right level of English to start. Okay, just scroll down a little bit, please, David. Just a little bit down. If you can come down. Can you scroll down?
Yeah, well, I think that it's
That's
finished
finished.
basically the sheet, but we can go on the
Okay.
evening if you prefer.
No, that's it. That's it. So this is going on to our evening class. For those students on a working holiday visa and want to study English, have a job during the day, or even on a student visa, we have evening classes as well. You can see the start time, 4:30 until 8:45. So the evening class is in fact 20 hours a week. The day class is in fact 21 hours a week. So what we've got is a very good combination program, day and evening. Some students have a job during the day, they go in the evening, then they get a job during the evening, they switch to the day. Okay, so we can do that. Keep that in mind as options for you. What I was going to say, can we go back to the previous slide, David? There's one other thing I want to show. Can we do that? No, we can't. Yes, we can. So you can see in the afternoon class, okay, that's the elective program for students intermediate and above. So those students that actually look at doing academic studies afterwards, e.g. going to do a TAFE diploma, going to do an ECU undergrad or ECU postgrad, that area there, we have an academic elective where my teachers teach the students how to succeed at higher level, at higher education. Succeed, able to write a précis, able to present a very good presentation in English, able to take notes. This is the skills that we think, well, I think the universities recognise that we teach them, so students are prepared to jump out of English into university. Thanks, David. That's good.
So thank you, John. And I think this is all for you and for PICE. So in case you have any questions, of course, you can write down everything in the chat box. And maybe we can also have a quick question and answer at the end of all of this webinar. So Michael, John,
David,
yeah,
sorry,
yes, of course.
Sorry, David, I've got one thing I forgot to mention, just one thing, okay? And that is PICE is the TOEIC test centre for Perth. For any French students who want to do TOEIC, we are the only school that does some TOEIC preparation, and we are the TOEIC test centre. So keep that in mind, all of you French students. Thank you for butting in. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Thank you for all the explanation regarding PICE. And so we can now continue with Michael. Hi, Michael. How are you?
Davide, I'm good. How are you?
Cool. I'm fine. So I think, Michael, it's time to start with a short video from TAFE, Western Australia. I will go through the presentation as soon as possible. So here it is, and then we can start with your own presentation. So nice video to start, and then we can proceed with our next slide.
Thank you, Davide.
You're welcome. So going to arrive. So here they are.
Great. Thank you very much, Davide. I hope you can all hear me. Good evening, everybody. So Michael Ingram here from TAFE International, Western Australia. You can see in the top left corner of the screen, guys, there is the Government of Western Australia badge. That is there because we are owned by the Western Australian government. So when you are thinking of doing skills-based education in Australia, you have a choice between going to a private college or a government college. Now, the government colleges are all owned by individual states around Australia, so we are owned by the state of Western Australia. If you could skip to the next slide, please, Davide. So being owned by the state of Western Australia is a very, very good thing. We're very proud of it. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. The courses we offer, you can see in that green section there, we are talking about Certificate 3, Certificate 4, Diploma and Advanced Diploma. Those are the courses that we offer. And most students will come and do those courses as standalone courses. In other words, when they graduate, they are then going on to pursue some kind of employment. A lot of students are coming to add these diplomas or advanced diplomas to skills that they already have or university degrees that they already have. And an increasing number of students are using these diplomas and advanced diplomas to progress into Edith Cowan University on what we call a university pathway, which would be obviously into the bachelor's degree. Next slide, please, Davide. So government-owned, government-operated, what does that actually mean in Western Australia? So obviously, given that we are owned by the West Australian government, we have been around for a long, long time. Our history goes back over 100 years. That means that we are incredibly well established, not just in Perth, but all around Western Australia. So very prominent campuses, huge facilities, very well funded by government, industry standard equipment, lecturers that come from industry, and more often than not, these campuses are in what we call education precincts. So for example, in Joondalup, we are essentially on the same property as Edith Cowan University's campus in Joondalup. So it's all about reliability, security, and quality. These are very important points. This is what you are getting when you come and do vocational studies at a government college with TAFE Western Australia. Thanks, Davide. This is a picture of our Green Skills building on our East Perth campus. This is the campus I'm actually based on. This building teaches a lot of different study areas. I won't go into too many of them, but for example, one of them is the Environmental Monitoring and Technology program. This building actually was a $17 million investment from the state government and Australian government. This building is actually not connected to any power or water because it generates all of its own electricity through solar panels, and the water is constantly recycled on an annual basis from rainfall and also from the bathrooms in the building. So when you are learning in that building and you've got your laptop plugged in and the Wi-Fi is going, it's completely off the grid. So we're very proud of that building. Thanks, Davide. So in that building and in every other building that we have on TAFE WA campuses, you are talking about a learning environment that is second to none, very high quality. So smaller classes, work environments that are designed to replicate what you are going to experience in industry. Lecturers who come from industry, and some of them are still working in industry, teaching you the skills that you need. And our courses are constantly being updated on a regular basis. They're what we call training packages. The training packages are not developed by us. They are actually developed by the Australian government to respond to skills shortages in the country. So in Western Australia, the courses we teach are in response to skills shortages. So the courses, all of them have one of two things, either a work placement or what we call a simulated work environment. And a simulated work environment is more often than not live works. So it's a fully functioning live working environment, if you like. Thank you, Davide. This is our Northbridge campus, probably one of our most popular, I'd say probably our most popular campus, not too far away from Perth International College of English, John's English College, very, very close to that, and also very close to the new ECU building. Thank you, Davide. Next slide. That ECU building, I think, is opening in, Julia will tell us, but it's opening soon. So lots of course options. This is the other thing that you're going to get when you come to a government vocational college, is you get choice. Not just choice in terms of location, 23 campuses, but choice in terms of course. I won't go through all of those in great detail, guys, but there is something there for everyone. And remember, this is about responding to skills shortages in Australia. Thanks, Davide. This is our Murdoch campus. One of our newer buildings. Next slide, please. All of these pictures you can see in front of you are little clips. I mean, it would be impossible to show you the facilities in great detail tonight. We don't have time. There's just so many of them. But every single one of these pictures is from one of our campuses. So students are in a learning environment, again, that, as I said, is incredibly high quality and is designed to replicate industry. So you can see our own fully functioning radio station down there. You can see students working in automotive workshops that actually have members of the public bringing their vehicles in. So whatever you are studying with us, you are getting the hands-on learning that is going to be, or going to make your skills very relevant to industry once you have graduated. Thanks, Davide. This is our Joondalup campus, if I'm not mistaken. Next slide, please. You can click through this a couple of times, Davide, just to bring up the rest of this slide. Thank you. Go back a little bit. That's perfect. Thank you. So you can see there is a map of Western Australia, and the slightly bigger map is a map of Perth. So in Perth, we have North Metropolitan TAFE, Western Australia, and South Metropolitan TAFE, Western Australia. All of those campuses are either north of the Swan River or south of the Swan River in Perth. But we also have regional campuses all around Western Australia if you want to have a slightly different experience and you want to think of something other than a city life. I'll tell you a little bit about those in just a moment. Next slide, please, Davide. So those regional campuses, the majority of our students at the moment come to our city campuses, but an increasing number are going to these regional campuses. And we are offering a regional bursary to students who choose to go to these campuses in regional parts of Western Australia. And just as John said earlier on, you know, you don't have to go too far out of Perth, which is behind me, beautiful city centre, but you don't have to go too far from the city centre to experience the authentic outback. And in those regional areas of Western Australia, we have campuses. We will pay students $5,000 to go and study on those campuses. Next slide, please, Davide. John talked about English. So we talk about, we always use IELTS as a benchmark. We talk about IELTS or equivalent. And John is absolutely right. You don't necessarily need to sit IELTS if you go to Perth International College of English to come to TAFE. That's why we talk about or equivalent. And so the equivalent from Perth International College of English for an IELTS of 6 is level 7 upper intermediate B, and that will get you into pretty much all of our courses. If it's early childhood education or nursing, you do have to have a slightly higher level of English, but the standard is that upper intermediate level 7 from Perth International College of English. Next slide, please. You can skip this one as well, actually. So however much English you need before you come to TAFE International Western Australia, we will specify on the conditional offer that you get when you apply through Go Study. We will specify on there how much ELICOS you need from Perth International College of English. And then Go Study will contact John and the team at PICE to put together what we call a packaged offer. So that will be an offer for TAFE and an offer for the relevant amount of English at PICE. And all you need to do to get the confirmation of enrollment from us is pay a $500 deposit if you are packaging with PICE. So it's very straightforward if you need to do some ELICOS before you join TAFE International Western Australia. Next slide, please. So along with packaging with PICE, we also have great packaging opportunities with Edith Cowan University. So our courses on average are between 13 and 19,000 Australian dollars a year. So when you are using TAFE International Western Australia as a pathway to Edith Cowan University, that presents great value to you as a student. You could do things like a diploma of business, a diploma of accounting, a diploma of engineering. These courses are all 1 year and present great affordability, as well as 1 year of credit or 120 credit points to the Edith Cowan University bachelor degree. So we can package with ECU as well. Next slide, please, Davide. That is my final slide. Muchas gracias. Grazie mille.
Thank you, Michael. Well, I think that we can give a look at the Geraldton campus video. What do you think? Because maybe this can help everyone to give a look at your facilities. Yes.
Yes, please.
So thank you, Michael. Thank you for your time. And I don't know is there any question from Michael? From the chat, Claudia, Ben, and Paula, because I've noticed some messages in the chat.
Yes, because I shared the website with the course catalog, so they can have a look at all the offer you have in TAFE. And I was telling the participants that I had the chance to visit most of your Perth campuses last year, and you have amazing facilities and offer a lot of courses, even very specific one. And I currently have a student in one of your regional campuses studying animal care, and she's very, very, very happy about the course. So I was sharing some of my past experience with TAFE.
Fantastic. Thanks, Claudia.
You're welcome.
So thank you, Claudia. And I think that now it's time for you, Julia, isn't it? I will soon start to share the presentation.
Thank you.
And here it is. So
Perfect.
I think we can start.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight, this afternoon. So you've heard a lot already. You've seen lots of pictures and videos. Next slide was okay, Davide. Thank you. So this again shows you where we are in a little map of Perth and its more or less, I would say, suburbs. So we do have 3 campuses. Joondalup is our main one, where one of the TAFE colleges also is. We have Mount Lawley, and as John and Michael have already mentioned, we do have a new campus which is supposed to open in 2026, which is right in the heart of the city centre of Perth. So next slide, please. I think we can skip through those a little bit quicker. That's just some images of beautiful Perth and its surroundings. So you've seen Rottnest again and the lovely quokkas. Again, this is more like repeating of we already told you what counts about Perth or what is more important. A little bit about us. So we are one of 5 institutions or universities, I would say, in Western Australia, in Perth. We are the youngest out of those 5. I would say medium-sized, so roughly about 30,000 students are studying with us, shared on all of those campuses we have. I forgot to mention that we have one Bunbury, which is about 2 hours south of Perth by driving, but not too many international students would be studying there, but it exists. We have plenty of options for you to study, 8, more or less 9 teaching schools and lots of courses that are available. We teach in semesters, so you can start your studies either in February or in July. Next, please. Next. So this is the campuses, as I mentioned. So our main campus is Joondalup. It's our headquarter. You can see the iconic entrance there. It is roughly 25 minutes on the train going to that main campus. It's quite an easy ride, and when you get off the train, there's a big shopping center, and you can basically walk to the campus and we'll go straight into where the main entrance is. On that campus, you can find most of our faculty, our library, the student hub. We have got some restaurants on campus as well. We do have a little lake on campus as well, which I quite like, and a cinema, which is operating in summers, which makes it definitely very unique and a special place to study. We have Mount Lawley as well, which is, can go back again, David, quickly. Which is more or less a creative heart. It's home for our WAPA, because we have a Western Australian Academy of Performing Arts where you can study music, dancing, acting, and stuff like that. Our teacher education courses will be there, and arts and humanities as well. It's a totally different vibe. It's way closer to the city center, but unfortunately this campus is going to close down once we open the new one, as some of the faculties are moving to the city center from that campus. Southwest, I'm not going to talk too much about because, as I said, not too many international students will be located there. Next, please, Davide. So that is our student hub. The next one, again, some more images of our campus. As you can see, it's quite green, very colorful as well. We have the biggest periodic table in the Western Hemisphere on campus. And yeah, as I said, it's a lovely place to actually study and spend time on. Yeah, that's inside the library. So lots of wood has been used when designing the campus insides as well. Next, please. The cinema. I actually never had the chance to go and watch a movie there because the timing has always been wrong when I went to Perth, because of course it's always only operating when it's summer in Western Australia, or in Australia in general. Mount Lawley, so as you can see, totally different vibe, more colorful. Next slide is okay for you to go to. So this is images of our campus. So as you can see, it is going to be right in the heart of the city center. It is built on the Perth bus stop, actually, so you can't go and study more central than there. So PICE is pretty close, the TAFE campus as well. Study Perth is just right next to it, so you will be located just perfectly fine. There's student accommodation close by, a building called The Switch, for example, plus others. And this is quite a cool building, quite modern and new, and has a fantastic rooftop terrace where you can overlook the whole city. The idea behind that campus is to actually connect you closer to the city and its CBD, to actually allow you to get connected and network with the companies sitting in the heart of the city, and allow us to bring professionals in to do presentations. And as I said, to offer you the chance as an international student to network as well and get a more closer look into that industry, which is based in Perth. So next, please. The schools that we offer, so 8, as I mentioned. So arts and humanities, business and law. Business and law would be our biggest one, actually. So everything along marketing, management, business, finance, accounting can be found in that faculty. Then we have engineering and IT, medical and health sciences, nursing and midwifery, science as well. So we have quite a popular course in cybersecurity, and so everything related to AI as well, computer science in general, is very well received. And the professor that we have is quite an icon, and he's very much into networking as well, and he, such as most of our other academics, is super supportive when it comes to giving you the chance to actually network and already get connections into the different industries you might be looking into working after your studies. So next, please. So you have different options on what you can do when you come to study in Western Australia. So you can either do a study abroad semester, which is studying just for 1 term within your general curricula, or you can come for a bachelor or a master's, and of course for a PhD in all of those faculties or schools that you've just seen. So a quick explanation about study abroad. So you basically start your studies in wherever you're located, and usually in your 2nd or 3rd year you go and study abroad somewhere out of your home country, and then when you come to us you can study 3 or 4 units per semester, which sums up to 30 EC2S. So you can basically do a whole semester with us, and usually if you inquire that before you actually leave to Australia, you can make sure that you get credits for the units that you take when you study abroad, so you don't lose time and you have that extra experience, learn some English and just have a good time. When it comes to study abroad within Australia, we are the most affordable option. I just put you the prices there. Yeah, they are subject to change on an annual basis, but they're more or less similar to what you can see there. Next, please. There are, of course, entry requirements to study with us for study abroad and full degree. I'm not going to go into that into much detail, but there is academic requirements you have to meet, as well as English requirements. As Michael and John said, there are pathways into studying with us for full degree and for study abroad as well. Yes, next, please. Yes, as I said, I'm not gonna bore you with those details because this is something GoStudy will actually tell you, depending on what you want to study, what is required, looking at academic. And next slide, please, English requirements. As you've heard already, there's a couple of English tests that you can actually hand in to be considered to study with us. So there might be IELTS, it might be TOEFL, it might be Cambridge. So all of those are usually acceptable, or you use one of the pathways via PICE or TAFE. Next, please. So this is our International Future Student Guide. Unfortunately, we haven't managed to finish the 2025 one now, but this at least gives you an idea. So you're more than happy to scan if you want to. Otherwise, you can find all of those information that I just gave you on our website. Next, please. Scholarships. So for international students, we do have scholarships worth 20% of the tuition fees. So you don't have to apply separately. Once you apply to study with us for a full degree, we will automatically check if you are eligible and then just deduct it from the full amount of tuition fees that you have to pay. They're usually valid for the whole period of your degree. When we look at prices, I haven't put it into that presentation, but it's usually about 25,000 euros on an annual basis per degree, depending on what you do, if it's bachelor or master, or if it's what faculty it is. So it might be that engineering is a little bit more expensive than a business degree, for example, might be, but an average would be about 25,000 on an annual basis. So those are, the scholarship we have, undergrad, postgrad, and that's basically about it. That's the pathway providers or the pathway options that you have, and you've met the nicest and best ones are the ones we work most closely with already, which is PICE and TAFE. Next one, please. Accommodation, very important, of course. If you decide to come to Western Australia, you definitely want or need to stay somewhere. So we do have on-campus accommodation on all of our campuses, on Joondalup and Mount Lawley and Bunbury as well. It's literally just maybe 5 minutes walking from the place you live to where you will have your classroom lessons. They're always fully equipped, fully furnished, so there's nothing you have to worry about. They're very modern, there's swimming pools and stuff like that. So it's lovely places to actually stay. And we would recommend, if you want to stay on campus, apply as soon as possible, just because of the fact, of course, it's a very high demand. As I talked about the new campus we are opening up, we're not going to have on-campus accommodation there, but as I mentioned, there is providers just around us offering student accommodation. So there are definitely options. So you can live on campus, but you can also live off campus. I feel that's a very personal decision. If you are a person that likes to stay on student accommodations, it's of course a very handy way because you have that close connection to A, the campus, and B, also other international students and also local students. But some students, of course, want to live maybe closer to the beach. We are roughly about 10-15 minutes to the next beach on public transport, so buses, for example, but we have many students that just decide to live on the beach and then just commute to the campus. That is an option. I did the same when I did my study abroad semester. I didn't want to stay on campus, so I found a place to live for me and a friend of mine who joined my studies. And we had an Airbnb for the first 3 or 4 weeks when we landed in Australia, and then started our search for accommodation once we were there. So we please beg you not to sign any contracts or anything from not being in Australia, so from wherever you live. Just make sure you're on site and you actually see the places you want to rent. Homestay and all other options are available, of course. So I can't see the slide, but you might go ahead. Yes, reasons to study at ECU. So I think you've heard a lot when it comes about the destination Western Australia or the destination Perth in particular. So next, please. Yes. So as I mentioned briefly earlier, the Australian institutions, no matter which one it is, I would say they're very much focused on making sure that you have a fantastic time and that you are really taken care of, or all your needs are catered. So there's always going to be someone who will assist you no matter what kind of inquiry you have, no matter what kind of problem you have. That might be personal or academic or professional as well. If you're trying to find a job, there is going to be someone assisting you. And also, as we already said and discussed, it's very hands-on and it's very much focusing on delivering a real-world experience. So this is why the connection to the industry is very strong, to allow you to already get some professional experience. So we do have internships and placements incorporated into our programs, and lots of our students do have jobs even before they graduate, just because of the fact that they learn very quickly that networking is key in Australia, and then they start early getting those connections and assuring that they have something, if they have the plan to actually stay or extend their stay in Australia, to actually have maybe handed in an application and maybe already have scored to get a job in Australia. A couple of other things have already been mentioned, which is the fact that you're allowed to work besides your studies. So most of our international students do this either within their field of studies or wherever they want to work later on, or in something else. There might be tourism, hospitality, or retail. So it's more or less up to you, whatever you are focusing on. Yeah. Next, please. Thank you. I think the next one was more or less an image showing you that we are very, very much trying on making sure you have a good time. So there's lots of things that we offer on campus, which is, for example, international cafes once a week, other activities for international students to join us and to join bigger groups, to go on short excursions, or just to do stuff joined in a group. So we do have a student guild, for example, that's how it's called, where you can find student clubs. So people interested in the same thing as you might be sports, might be arts, might be music. So there's lots of options to get to know other internationals. So you just have to make sure you take those chances. They're all there. So it's up to you to actually go and grab them and go and make those connections and come home with maybe a basket full of new friends and people that you met during your studies. Things not to miss out on. Go back. Thank you, Davide. It's just some recommendations from me personally, because everyone is addicted about Australian coffee, and everyone's going crazy about the coffee culture as such, I would say. So the first thing I do when I go to Australia is actually buy myself a coffee. And as I'm usually based in Northbridge, which is I would say the young party and culture area of Perth. There's a lovely place. It's actually a Portuguese coffee where you can get really good coffee and also natas. I guess the Europeans know what that is. So that's always my first go-to place when I go to Perth. Then on one of the pictures beforehand, you've seen those rooftop cinemas, which are lovely. In a second, you will see pictures of Scarborough Beach. They have sunset markets always on Thursdays, I think. And the atmosphere is just amazing. So you can have food, you can have drinks, and there's music on the beach. So the good thing about Western Australia, so you can see the sunset every evening, and it's so beautiful. So definitely make sure you see as many sunsets as you can. And you've seen John's favorite beach in one of the earlier presentations, Cottesloe. There is a fantastic fish and chips place as well. He recommended to me last time I was there, and I can give that recommendation to you as well, because it was very lovely and very tasty. So make sure you use the chances you have and go and travel as much as you can, and experience the place. It's all there, and I'm always surprised how mobile our international students are, and how keen they are on traveling, and how keen they are on making the most of their time. And I always feel, or at least that's what most of the Australians I know always tell me, that they see more in a shorter period of time than most of the Australians see in a very long time. So it's a nice place to actually travel. So yeah, take the chance and do that. I think we can go ahead, Davide. It's just some more pictures for you. So the left-hand side, that's Scarborough Beach on one of those sunset markets. The Cottesloe picture that you've already seen. Kings Park, we haven't really mentioned it, I think, throughout the whole presentation. It's actually the biggest inner city park in the world. It's bigger than Central Park in New York. Very green, a lovely place overlooking the city. There's lots of concerts happening up there. I always go for a run there when I touch down in Perth. So it's a lovely and very green place, a green oasis right in the heart of the city, more or less. Next, please. Again, Rottnest Island, and Michael and John, I always forget the name of that street. So you have to jump
I think it's
in.
London Court.
Yes, London Court, thank you. So medieval street right in the heart of the city center, just close by where PICE is, and TAFE as well. Next, please. But I think we are more or less at the end. Yes, this what it. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. There's way more to say, way more to tell you about Perth and Western Australia, but we're open to receive questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
I don't know is there any question coming from the chat box, Claudia, Ben, and Paula, because I've seen lots of interest in all of these slides.
Not really.
Well, sto
ascoltando una riunione in inglese.
Not really. I just shared the link with the English requirements. That was a question we had before about ECU, but we can still, of course, reply to any question you may have after the webinar. Just contact us and we will reply to everything.
Cool. So maybe, Julia, we can give a look at the John Dunlop campus. In this way, we can show them your facilities.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Davide.
Thank you, Julia. So I think that this is all from Perth, from Julia, from Michael, and of course from John. In case you have any question, I suggest you to write it down through the chat box. So I will try to be very quick in order to give you some ideas and some concerns regarding Go Study Australia. So first of all, are you still alive, guys? Because I know that this has been a very long webinar altogether, but I also know that we have been able to go deep in many things, for example, Perth, for example, PICE, TAFE, and of course also through Ethical University itself. So I will present our very quick slides. So Go Study Australia was born in 2007. We are an Australia expert. So if you want to receive support regarding your study, work, travel, and of course life adventures down under, you can contact me, Claudia, Paola, Ben, and all of our staff members in Europe, and of course in America. You can notice that we also have offices in Mexico and in Chile, and of course we have some offices in Australia because we were born in Sydney in 2007, and we have little by little decided to expand our reach globally, and so we can support you also in Perth thanks to a physical office in which we can speak in English, of course, but also in Italian, in Spanish, and in France. So basically, the support that we can offer you is for free if you want to study abroad with us at PICE, at TAFE, and of course at Edith Cowan University. Basically, our aim is trying to hold your hand from the beginning to your arrival date down in Perth. So for example, we can offer you personal advices, try to understand if the city that you have already selected is the right one for you. And of course, we can guide you through the course selection. For example, you notice that Edith Cowan University and of course TAFE can offer dozens of courses. So maybe I think that hand can be helpful in this case. And we can, of course, support your visa and paperwork in order to let you land in Australia, and of course, in this case, in Perth. We can also try to book an accommodation on behalf of you in case you don't want to live in the Edith Cowan University, but we also have lots of relationships with hostels and different student residents in the CBD of Perth, for example, Campus Perth. And we can also offer you the possibility to land in Australia with an open bank account. We have partnership with Commonwealth Bank, and also give you a prepaid SIM card. Of course, and this is, I think, one of the most important thing that we can offer you is the possibility to meet others guys that are going to land in Australia in the same period of you. For example, we can offer a webinar, a pre-departure webinar online, and in case, especially in Italy, into our Milan office. And then, of course, you only have to pack your bags and land in Australia, where you can find all of our Go Study offices in, as I just told you, Italian, English, French, and Spanish. And go down in Perth, we can support you with a lot of events. Most of them are for free. And I think that maybe Claudia, Ben, and Paula can share with you through the chat a few links in which you can basically try to better understand the events that we can offer also in Perth. And of course, we can support you in order to manage your job support. For example, we can revise your resume. We can also send you a newsletter in which you can find some job opportunities. And of course, you only have to book an interview with one of these job places and then try to get on your job. And of course, we can also offer a community with all peoples that are deciding to land in Australia with us, and all around support, for example, as I just told you, with lots of guys and girls that have decided to land in Australia thanks to Go Study. We can also offer some discounts, for example, a travel discount that we have just created a partnership with Travelo, an important hub that is placed in Sydney, but can also offer travels in Perth and in other destinations. So basically, I had to run because I know that we are basically over our time. And so I also want to remember you that there is also the possibility to earn money from Go Study if you are able to send us a new lead, so someone that wants to have the same experience as you in Australia, and we can pay with you with voucher and something like this. And so basically, we can support you from the beginning to all of your dream and also into all of our destinations. So Gold Coast, Brisbane, Byron Bay, Sydney, Melbourne, Darwin, and of course, Perth. Wow, so I think that our webinar is going to an end. I don't know if you may have any question coming through the chat.
No, for now, Davide.
Okay, so Paola?
No, all good, all good. We had a few questions, but we were replying during the webinar, so all good for now. Thanks, Davide.
Thank you for this amazing presentation, Davide, and our Perth partners as well. So no questions from the French side, but I guess that they all asked they can receive the recorded webinars that we will send by email, and also they can find it also in our YouTube channel.
Of course, and we also add all of the videos, but at this time with the volume, of course.
Yeah, they were asking for the video, so that's great. We can send to them so they
Yes.
can have a look. Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much.
So thank you, guys, and thank you, John, Michael, and Julia.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah. David, on behalf of the three of us, but also on behalf of Study Perth, thank you very much, and your team. That's the French, Spanish, as of course your Italian team, for putting this on for us. We really appreciate your support. And when I say we, I'm talking about Perth, all the institutions, your support in promoting it as a destination of worth. And I know the three members of Go Study Perth's office, they are great people, and they do a great job in looking after any students who is there and need help. So from all of us, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And go study. Okay.
And shine, and shine.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Go
Have a
Study.
nice evening.
so
Enjoy
much.
your